How's it going, guys? Shape here, and welcome to the channel. Does it ever feel extremely rewarding to finally beat a game that you've poured your blood, sweat, and tears into? Not to mention the countless hours you spent overcoming that once thought impossible feat. Well, if so, you've come to the right place. This video is going to cover a top 10 countdown of the longest games it takes to fully complete. These titles we're going to talk about, only a select few can truly say they have completed it to the fullest extent. I am limiting this to one spot per franchise because some franchises could take up the whole list and this video would be very boring. Also, I'm excluding MMOs from the list just for everyone's sanity because no one really wants to know how many hours, days, years some of us have put into those. So after countless hours of pulling data and comparing games across different platforms, genres, decades, I was able to put the most accurate list I could together with the help of HowLongToBeat.com. With that being said, let's hop into it. Be sure to turn on your notifications, make sure you have that bell rung, and drop a like to make sure you don't miss any of my future content. If you have any questions, drop a comment or tweet at me. Number 10, Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition. This title was released by Bethesda in 2017. Stemming from hardcore isometric RPG roots, the Fallout series seems to have emphasized its shooting mechanics and gradually stripped away many core RPG elements since Bethesda began producing franchise titles back in 2008. Of course, that doesn't mean that Fallout 4 is necessarily lacking any content. As the sole survivor of the Vault 111, you enter a world destroyed by nuclear war. Every second is a fight for survival and every choice is yours. Only you can rebuild and determine the fate of the Wasteland, the Workshop, and Nuka World. Fallout 4 Game of the Year Edition includes the fully updated original game along with all 6 add-ons: Automatron, Wasteland's Workshop, Far Harbor, Contraptions Workshop, and Vault Tech. The Game of the Year Edition can take gamers anywhere around 31 hours to explore on average. Now this is just the main storyline, which leaves all the side quests and full completions to take up many more hours. In fact, to fully complete this title, plan on giving around 208 hours of your time to unlocking that completionist achievement. This title took home more than 200 best of rewards, including DICE's Game of the Year, so it's definitely worth a pickup if you guys have some spare time. Number 9, Xenoblade Chronicle X. This is one of the meatiest Wii U games on the list, brought to us by Monolith Soft. Starting back on the PS1 with 1998's Xenogears and Xenoblade, this side of the franchise began on the Wii with 2010's Chronicles. Following an intergalactic war that threatened to wipe out life on Earth, several interstellar arcs are launched to preserve human life that brings the player into an uncharted planet of Mira, where they are tasked with completing quests and gathering resources across 5 continents to ensure humanity's survival. This title has a die-hard cult following to go along with its high reviews and has a Japanese fantasy-style take on space colonization. This weird and wonderful world, though entirely detached from prior franchise titles, should keep players engaged for quite some time. The main story alone will take around 69 hours to complete, but if you plan on checking off this title in your completionist book, plan on giving around 277 hours of your time. If anyone still has their Wii U's and has a burning passion to play through a few remaining exclusives, they should set some time aside to see this one through and at least beat the main story. Number 8, Killing Floor. In 2009, Tripwire Interactive brought us our first and only horror game to the list. Killing Floor is a co-op survival horror first-person shooter that takes place in the devastated cities and countrysides of England. After a series of cloning experiments for the military goes horribly wrong, you and your friends or members of the military dropped into these locations with one simple mission: survive long enough to cleanse the area of the failed experiments. The only problem is, these experiments aren't waiting to be taken out, they're coming for you. Some key features of the game to get you guys a little familiar with it: there is a co-op mode where you can have up to 6 players in your party. There's also a perk system that allows players to convert their in-game achievements into permanent improvements to their characters, skills, and abilities. Players can choose which perks to play with so they can best balance out their co-op team to survive these horrors. The game has over 40 Steam achievements. For those solo players out there, they do have an offline mode for single player only. There are also 9 different monster types trying to eat your face off that are armed with everything from teeth and claws to chainsaws to chain guns and even rocket launchers. You can select from more than 12 weapons, which range from knives and fire axes up to pump shotguns, rifles, and flamethrowers. This game is an open, non-linear playstyle, so you choose when and where to fight or run if needed. If you want to weld doors shut behind you and distract the monsters and horde into a certain area to mow them down, or you're just trying to buy your team some time, you name it, it's doable. Sounds exciting, right? Of course it does. Who doesn't enjoy a good zombie killing game? Now, just how long does it take to complete? The title's main story is actually one of the shorter ones on this list at just 19 hours, which, to be honest, most players would then most likely be done with the game, but not as completionists. Get ready to spend 304 hours to fully complete this game. An almost 300-hour difference between those who decide to just complete this main storyline and those who go for the completionist title. That is a huge amount of content difference to rack up all those achievements. Definitely one to pick up if you want to switch up genres and play a horror game. Number 7, Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. You and I both know that no top 10 list without an Elder Scrolls game mentioned isn't doing something right. Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind is an epic, open-ended, single-player game where you create and play any kind of character you can imagine. Be the hero embarking on an epic quest or a thief rising to the leadership of his guild. Be a sorcerer developing the ultimate spell of destruction or a healer searching for the cure to a plague. Your actions define your character and your gameplay changes and evolves in response to your actions. Confront the Assassin's Guild and they take out a contract on you. Impress them and they try to recruit you instead. No two sagas are the same in the world of Morrowind. Players can choose to follow the intriguing main storyline or set off to explore the province of Morrowind and many interesting people and exotic locations it contains. Vast cities and remote villages dot the landscape, each with its own unique look and feel. Hundreds of quests and adventures await as you interact with characters and learn more. Regardless of whether you play a murdering assassin or a noble knight, the game holds endless possibilities and allows you to revisit the main storyline at any time. The main story is going to set you back about 45 hours to complete and over 335 hours to fully complete. Number 6, Sid Meier's Civilization V. This one might surprise you with being on our countdown list, but once you start thinking about it, does it really surprise you? Sid Meier's Civilization V is the 5th offering in the multi-award winning Civilization turn-based PC strategy game series. As with earlier installments in the series, Civilization V features the famous just one more turn addictive gameplay that has made it one of the greatest game series of all time. This installment is essentially the same Civilization we have known and loved for the past 20 years, but with several improvements. As always, it's you against several other world-renowned leaders with the goal to take over the world either through dominance, culture, science, or finance. The game will start you off in ancient times and you will slowly evolve to the present time and even to the future as you strive to be the actual ruler of the world. The game offers 20 world leaders to choose from. Each civilization has their own strengths and weaknesses as well as their own special fighting units, which forces you to figure out the best way to conquer the globe. The user chooses one of the 4 battlefields, the difficulty, and the number of opponents they will face. With that being said, you really never play the same game twice. To achieve the completionist title for this strategy game, you will need to unlock all 287 achievements. On average, that takes about 360 hours for the most extreme players and upwards of thousands of hours for your leisure players. If you guys want to completely switch genres and decide to take on this title, at least you get some history lessons to go along with it. Number 5, Payday 2. Anyone up for a little heist? Well, if so, Payday 2 is an action-packed 4-player co-op heist shooter brought to us by Overkill Software. This title is available on PC, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360. The new CrimeNet network offers a huge range of dynamic contracts, and players are free to choose anything from small-time convenience store hits or kidnappings to cybercrime or emptying out bank vaults. As the crew progresses, the job becomes bigger, better, and more rewarding. Along with earning more money and becoming a legendary criminal comes a new character customization and crafting system that lets crews build and customize their own guns and gear. The game is a sequel to 2011 Payday: The Heist. 2 years after the events of the previous game, the Payday gang comes to the Washington metropolis area to perform another heisting spree. The players take control of one of the gang's 21 members and can perform heists alone or with up to 3 teammates. The players can participate in a variety of heists, including but not limited to robbery of banks, shops and armored cars, and producing and distributing narcotics. The game differs from the previous by allowing much more customization of the player, aesthetically and gameplay-wise, a somewhat improved graphical interface and experience, more variety of playability and levels, and has reworked stealth mechanics. If you want a chance at completing the almost 1,200 in-game achievements with all the downloadable content, then you're going to have to commit around 425 hours to achieve that feat. Number 4, Destiny. From my gaming roots stemming from Halo, it is really good to finally see another Bungie game release that lived up to their standards. Destiny is an online-only multiplayer first-person shooter video game developed by Bungie, and it was released worldwide in September of 2014 for the PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, and the Xbox One consoles. Destiny marked Bungie's first new console franchise since the Halo series. It is set in a mythical science fiction world, and the game features a multiplayer shared environment with elements of a role-playing game. Activities in Destiny are divided among player versus environment and player versus player game types. In addition to the normal story missions, player versus environment features 3 player strikes and 6 player raids. A free roam patrol mode is also available for each planet and features public events. Player versus player features objective-based modes as well as traditional deathmatch game modes. Players take on the role of a guardian, protectors of Earth's last city as they wield a power called Light to protect the city from different alien races. Guardians are tasked with reviving a celestial being called the Traveler, while journeying to different planets to investigate and destroy the alien threats before humanity is completely wiped out. With all these expansions and downloadable content, you can imagine the hours to complete kept going up and up. To my surprise, the main story only takes about 11 hours to blow through, but don't think you're getting away that easy with completing all the extras and achievements. To get the completionist title, be prepared to drop 489 hours. This is the largest gap between the main story and completionist title on the list. Almost a 400-hour difference. If you're a fan of Bungie and looking to save Earth from a different alien race, then I suggest you pick up this title and give it a go. Number 3, Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. This franchise, brought to us by Capcom, is one of the main reasons this list is limited to a single game per franchise, or else we would have a full list of Monster Hunter games. To give you guys some perspective, there could technically be 9 games from the franchise that would take you all of over 250 hours to fully complete. For this list purpose, we can only have one life-sucking vampire to drain all of your time, and that's Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate, that takes the cake at around a massive 551 hours to fully complete. For the uninformed, the Monster Hunter series is basically that it pits players against huge and incredible deadly foes. The series formula has remained pretty consistent since its release in 2004. In the games, players first track their prey before carefully taking them down and using their loot to craft new gear to fight even more dangerous foes. It's a good old rinse and repeat, get better loot, and we're all used to seeing in these types of games. It's something really challenging stuff, and it gets even better when you have a group of friends to play with you. But it is designed to be solvable as well. Completing all the rewards in the game takes a huge amount of time, and there's a lot of luck-based elements in the game too, making it much, much harder. Number 2, Animal Crossing New Leaf. The Animal Crossing franchise would be another franchise that would have taken up most of the list if we hadn't made the one per franchise rule. In 2013, Nintendo's Animal Crossing New Leaf, that released on the Nintendo 3DS, took the franchise to a whole new level and recognized new town inhabitants as the town's mayor instead of just a new villager. This was a drastic change and meant for the first time there was more control over the actual town you were living in rather than just your personal home. Just to beat the main story or get to the part where you are living in the best house available will take you a whopping 87 hours. If you think that's a big commitment, wait till you hear how long it takes you to fully complete. 428 hours. You heard me right. 428 hours to create your own ideal world, customize your character, house, and town. On average for the completionist title in this franchise, you're going to be putting in 300 to 400 hours per title. There are many players that are nowhere close to completing and are already over 1,000 hours into the game. This means not only do you have to put a lot of time in, you have to be efficient with your time unless you want this title to go in your retired categories and never fully complete it. With the new release of Animal Crossing New Horizons, I fully expect you to be seeing another title by Nintendo to be at least an honorable mention in this list. And now, the moment everyone's been waiting for. Number 1, Dragon Quest IX, Sentinels of the Starry Skies. Did you guys really think you were going to get through a whole top 10 list about the longest games to complete and not see a Dragon Quest title in here? Released by Level 5 in 2010 for the Nintendo 3DS, Dragon Quest IX has players begin their adventure as a city guardian who is sent to retrieve a sacred tree's fruit which has the power to grant wishes. Players travel the world, conquer fearsome monsters, and unravel an epic storyline. During their journey, players will encounter mighty opponents in fast-paced battles and also interact with a colorful cast of characters. Players look to enjoy a variety of different game activities and can take on special side quests. Some of these quests will be earned by progressing through the game, while additional quests have been made available through DLC that has provided many hours of additional content for your virtual adventurers to enjoy either on their own or with friends. Some downloadable quests will continue the main storyline of the game, while others will be standalone missions. Before setting off on their adventures, players can create their own heroes, deciding how they would like their face, hair, and clothing to look. As the story unfolds, players become stronger, smarter, and more powerful, and can customize companions who join their group. Players will have fun discovering more than 1,000 pieces of clothing, armor, weapons, and other items that will provide them a unique appearance and special abilities. Players can also change the class of their character at any time, choosing from a variety of vocations that will affect their abilities and strength of the game. But just how long do you need to commit to this game to become the slayer of the longest game to complete on this list? 752 hours. An astonishing 31 days will be taken from you if you decide to tackle this beast of a game. If you don't have that much time to dedicate to the game, then you can at least complete the main story in just 49 hours. Well, there you have it, guys. The top 10 countdown of the longest games fully complete. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments any other games that you are currently working on of the Completionist Title 4. Again, please drop a like if you enjoyed the video to show some love for the channel, and I will catch you guys next time.